In this one, we are going to create this double van life pop-up card. And if you don't plan on making this card, may I suggest you to stay, because it is really satisfying to watch the pop-up elements come to life. That being said, enjoy. Hi, my name is Lula Coste, and if you love craft, DIY or stationery reviews, you are in the right place, because this is what this channel is all about. To make this card, you will need to print the design I'm using. It is a design I created myself for my niece, and I turned it into a printable so you can recreate it too. You can find the different ways of getting the printables on the description below. I made a colored version and a not colored one, so you can put your own twist to it. I indicated where and how to fold and cut, and also indicated discreetly where to glue the element on the card. You will need to print the design on two different papers. The two base elements need to be printed on thick paper, about 160 GSM or more, and the elements need to be on thinner paper, about 90 to 120 GSM. You will also need scissors and or X-Acto knife, white glue or wood glue, a bond folder or something similar, and a book press or weight. The first step will be to prepare our palm tree elements. We need them to be thicker and stronger than the rest, and we need the design on both sides. Fortunately, there's one solution to fix both problems. Glue both sides of each element together, and to be sure they stay flat while drying, put them into a book press or under weights. In the meantime, we can cut all the other elements. I like to process step by step rather than element by element, so as I told you, now it's time to cut everything. This is the most meditative part of the process, and some parts are really tedious, but you can just get in the zone and let your mind wander. Be careful though not to cut any attachment pieces. I find cutting the element easier with scissors than X-Acto knife. The trick is to move the paper instead of the scissor to create the shapes. It is much more precise and easier. Also, keep the scrap pieces of paper. They might help us to spread the glue later on without having to use our finger or any brushes that we would need to clean up after. To be sure I'm not losing everything, I'm grouping the parts by categories: the mountains element, the beach elements, and the van and campfire. The third step will be to prepare our fold. This step 2 is pretty relaxing, although it requires a bit more intention. To simplify and reduce the error factor, I used a ruler, a scrap piece of cardboard from the back of a paper block, and a bone folder. All the folds are indicated on the printables with the legend that explains if you need to fold with the design inside or outside. The step 4 is to assemble the base card. For this part, you will need the base card, obviously, and the flap part. Align their middle creases and glue their right side together. Close the card and press on it. Open the card again and now glue only the arch on the left part. Step 5 will be to assemble the van. For this part, you will need the van's cabin, roof and front. This one needs to be assembled all together before attaching it to the card. First, we are going to glue the foldable roof, starting with its sides and then the front fold. Now you can glue the top of the roof on top of it. It should look just like that. For the front of the van, you need to glue its sides to its top, just like this. With the creases we made earlier, it will be able to fold with the van when we close the card. Now you can attach it to the front of the cabin with the top flap only. Now it's time to glue the main piece to itself, just like this. Here's a little piece of advice. When you glue elements together, try to do it folded. That way you are sure it's going to fold back properly. And also, always, always make sure pop-up works before moving on to the next step. The folded technique works also when you attach an element to the card itself. Try to glue it with the card folded. So place your element and then close with the glue, of course, and then close the card and press. Try to let it dry, and normally, if everything went well, you will be able to open the card and the pop-up will pop up. The next step will be to assemble the campfire. For this part, you will need the log and the fire. For the log, we wanted to create a bump on its length when we open the card and lay flat when we close it. To create that effect, glue the flaps from the log with the strap folded under the log and going in between the flaps. Now put glue on top of the fold part from the strap, close the card and press on it. The fire is much easier. It uses the symmetric V-fold, which is one of the basic folds of pop-up and easier. First, glue the two extremities of the fire together, creating a pyramid. Then glue the two flaps in the middle of the card at a 45 degrees angle with the card's fold and at 90 degrees in between them. If you want to take extra precaution, you can use the folded technique by only gluing one side to the card and then gluing the other one by folding the card on top of it. And now you have it. You have a campsite done. This is what you will see on both sides of the card. Okay, so now let's create the beach. We are going to start with the palm tree. For this part, you will need the glued palm tree parts we created earlier and space. First, we need to cut a bit more. On the part without the leaves, cut a 1 mm slit in the middle from the top to the top of the grass. And on the part with the leaves, cut a 1 mm slit from the bottom to the end of the leaves. Cut also the same way on the leaves part from the bottom to the middle. For the base, we need to cut also 1 mm wide slits, but this time in the middle of each side, like so. Make sure they align when you fold them. It is really important because otherwise the card won't fold properly. Now it is ready to assemble. The base is exactly the same concept as the fire just before, but the only difference is that this one doesn't form a pyramid, but just a square. This part is what is going to hold our palm tree elevated when we open the card, and that's going to flatten it when we close it. To make your tree, slide the two trunk parts together and slide the leaves part on top of the trunk without the leaves and glue those two together. Once you have your tree, it is time to attach it to its base. To do so, you have to put the tree inside the base and stick out the flaps from the slits. It may require precision and patience, but it is really worth it. After that, glue the flaps onto the side to make sure it is secure. This might be my favorite element. I think it's really impressive just because it stays straight without even touching the card itself. So yeah, now let's assemble the sandcastle. This one uses the same symmetric V-fold as the tree base and the campfire, but with a twist. Glue the two ends of the castle to make squares like the tree bases on both of the extremities of the castle. Then glue one side on the mark on the card base and use the closing technique to glue the other side. And voila, a lovely beach with palm tree, a sandcastle, and a good campfire. Now let's assemble snowy mountains. These are the easiest of every element. They are really simple and they are using the simplest form of the symmetric V-fold. Simply glue one strap of the mountain at an angle with the crease of the card. And now you can glue the other side with the closing technique. And voila, you have snowy mountains. Same with the trees in front of them, except that those need to have the mountain in between the crease when you fold the card. So yeah, that's just one thing to keep in mind. But that's it. Now you have the main card, the main postcard done. All it's left to do are the final details. The first one is going to build a snowman. This is really simple. Just attach it from its feet to the card, and with a thin piece of paper, of scrap paper we had earlier, just attach its back to your trees, and voila, you have a pop-up snowy snowman. Now glue your marshmallow sticks to the front base of the log so that they stand up when you open the card, and make sure to glue them on the opposite side of the mechanical strap because it will get in the way. An extra step will be to finish off completely the card with a perfect attention to details by covering the strap visible for the van and the log with pieces of the design, and voila. Put your card into a book press under weights or whatever to flatten it. It is a really good step to take that I recommend a lot. It requires a lot of patience, but trust me, it is worth it. And now let's take a look at the final result. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I'll catch you in the next one. And again, if you want to get those printables and make your own pop-up van card, the link is in the description below. Take care. Bye bye.